Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Anasa. So happy to be with you this morning. So let's start with meditation. So breathing down to the energy center below the belly button. Energy follows attention. So take your attention down below your belly button. 2 fingers below, finger breadths of this width below your belly button. There is an energy center. And imagine there's a funnel underneath your brain that allows your attention to pull all the energy from between your ears down below your belly button. And you may feel yourself coming into a different kind of groundedness when you do this with your attention. From this place, we are able to experience the world without so much judgment. So now from this centered place, pull in white light from the top of your head and run it through your entire body, cleansing everything that is no longer serving you, all energies that are no longer helpful. Have that intention that they all be released as you fill yourself with white light, your entire being, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, all through the layers of being, run the white light. Just from the top of your head and out your feet. And allow this white light as though you're standing under a shower of divine love that's coming in and around you to cleanse everything and bring you into a higher frequency of yourself. So, holding your attention below your belly button, you allow this white light to completely flood everything and cleanse all the energies that no longer serve. So that you can come into your highest self in this plane of existence. And the key word here is allowing. Allow the white light to just flood everything as your intention is to merge with your own divinity, which of course is the same divinity that we all share. We are interdependent. And the thing about truth is it is a visceral experience. We understand truth by how it feels throughout our beingness. Keep allowing everything that no longer serves to be released. You can kind of shake your hands a little bit to animate the process. And when you're ready, take your attention to the tip of your tailbone. And you don't have to abandon this clearing. You can set the intention that it continue while we explore our energetic mechanism. So take your attention to the tip of your tailbone. Holding your attention there, follow your breath into that energy center, feeling for the stillness between the breaths. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to come to the solar plexus, which is located just below your rib cage in the center of your body. And feel all the way through the front and the back of your body in this energy center, allowing yourself to release any holding you might experience. And any physical, mental, or emotional or spiritual tension that you feel there, just allow it to go. If it has something you need to know, it will tell you. All the while allowing this white light to carry out anything that doesn't serve you. Holding your attention in the solar plexus as you breathe into the space between the breaths. Feeling for the stillness that's available in between every breath. The quiet that's always available in the midst of the storm. Gently take your attention into the heart center. Whenever your mind tries to grab the attention back, just pull it back to the place where you're focusing. This is why we call it practice. Feeling for your heart center. Allow yourself to expand into the spaciousness between the breaths. When you're ready, allow your attention to go upward just below the sternum, the sternal notch. There's a little divot in below the throat, and just below that is what we call the high heart. It's located right about here on me. And the high heart, it's here. The high heart is the center where our beingness naturally harmonizes between the third eye and the heart itself. This is an important energy center that's often overlooked. Holding your attention here, allow the clearing to happen with the white light. Again, feeling for the stillness in between the in-breath and the out-breath. And again, between the out-breath and the in-breath. Feeling for the deep quiet that's always available within us. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to come into your throat center. Feeling this shower of white light, cleansing whatever's ready to be released. And feel all the way through to the back of your neck. Any place that you might be holding, let it go. And then there's a very important energy center at the roof of our mouth where the hard palate and the soft palate meet. This is a junction point that aligns us with the third eye. Feeling into this energy center. Gives us the alignment from the tip of our tailbone all the way up and out the top of the head. Holding your attention in this energy center. Feel for the space between the breaths. As that quiet begins to permeate our entire beingness. When you're ready, allow your attention to drift upwards to the third eye, behind and between the eyebrows. in the center of our head. As you feel the stirrings of your life force in your central channel, allow it to rise up through these energy centers and out the top of your head. It does this in 360 degrees around our body and gathers below the base of our spine. And of course, it's not a linear event. It's going on all the time. Using your breath to join with this already existing energetic flow. You can breathe down the front and up the back in your central channel and around your body. And for a few minutes, allow yourself to just experience this merging of your breath and your energetic awareness. Now holding to this experience of union inside yourself. When you're ready, and believe me, there is no hurry. The most important thing is to hold to this energetic awareness in yourself. And we all know holding is sort of a contradiction. Keeping your attention inside, that's how we'll say it. Gently open your eyes to the experience of being two places at once, and maybe nowhere at all. Welcome. We'll move into the participatory part of this experience, where you guys get to run the program. How may we serve today? What's happening for everybody? How may we serve? Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Great meditation. Oh my gosh. Really lovely. And I recognize through habit or past situations how I hold my throat kind of closed. And so it's just this really lovely long meditation today to just feel that, work with that. And I think it has to do with not speaking up in the past. And
You know, most women were trained not to speak, especially not to speak the truth.
yes, yes.
And so there's then confusion about speaking anything.
Well, I am speaking more the truth, but for sure. But it's really lovely, I guess, putting it that way, because I'm happy to feel that and focus on reopening that and just my own awareness around that. So the meditation today just gave me an opportunity to really work with that. And of course, I could work with that at home, but it's brought awareness to that. And so it's been, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, one of the things that happens when we meditate as a group is that we have the group energy, which is much larger, as well as anasa,
True. Yes.
which is anasa is incomprehensible what they bring. But when we have community with it, we're magnetizing this energy to come into our field to really help us shift into deeper and deeper parts of ourselves
Yeah.
so that we become more attuned to our alignment with divinity itself,
Mhm.
which of course is the source energy for the whole of the multiverse, not just the whole of us and the earth.
Pretty incredible to just take that in.
Yes, and in a way, it's, understanding our own personal alignment is the whole point of spirituality, so that we live from the experience of divine union.
Mhm.
And that's what alignment is. It's union with the divinity of the whole, which at the same time is deeply personal. And as we begin to accommodate that experience, it touches every life that our life touches.
Mhm. Yeah.
And as we allow that, our own deepest source energy to penetrate through the the depth of our wounds and blockages,
Yeah.
then we become free
Yeah.
to be whole
Mhm.
in the face of so much complexity in our external environment. And from that experience, we
Mhm.
have real potency to participate,
Mhm.
always coming back to our center. And so it's not about, empowering our our ego, but empowering our love.
Mhm.
And then we begin to attract to ourselves experiences that uh, hasten that evolution.
Hence all the learning we're getting.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I have a really, I wasn't going to tell this story, but I might as well since we're on the topic. Uh, I've been working pretty hard with my therapist for the past 6 months, and I can't tell you how many fears I've gone through. It feels like I've almost cleaned the book out the past several years. But one of the more, oh my gosh. So anyway, I won't go into too much of that except that twice now I've eaten wheat and I thought it would be okay. Well, by mistake the first time, the second time by choice. That was last night. And it sounded like when ordering the food that it wasn't that much, right? Well, oh my God, am I sick today? So anyway, um, I don't know if I'm going to tell my therapist this or not. I may not. But anyway, but I had this most beautiful, and it's interesting, and this beautiful, odd relationship with it, with the divine. It was like, because my therapist would say, look what you're doing to yourself, pay attention, da 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 da. And I, of course, realized right away that was such a mistake. But I had this voice say to me, this was important that you got that today.
Exactly.
It was so like it cut through the mustard. It was so beautiful. And it was like, I, and I don't have to prove myself to anyone. It was like this whole beautiful package that had been a little gummed up. And it was just, it, I, I'm just telling you this because it was so powerful. And
Well, yes, when we see that self-punishment doesn't work, when we see it in the space of a moment that our entire training of self-punishment is trying to regulate our behavior
yeah,
by being mean to ourselves,
yeah,
when we see what a limitation that is, it starts to unwind.
yeah, it sure has. And
And it doesn't really matter, even if we get bad advice that leads us to that understanding,
hey,
we
whatever
just,
works,
I'm sorry.
whatever works. And especially if
Exactly.
it's the inner voice. And it was
It's what
so
we were
clear.
saying. We attract the experiences that are going to lead us to our evolution. And so it's very important to be able to recognize bad advice
It is.
and probably important to give feedback when that happens. And it allows us to be careful about where we take our advice from and who we take it
Right.
from,
Absolutely.
why we take it from.
Yes. And no need for approval here is what I'm saying in myself.
Well, it's sort of what we've been talking about the astrology, about, in Vedic astrology, they talk about it as demonic energy. And they talk about it in that way because it's literally bad advice. I mean, it's not like there's exactly demons,
Right.
but that bad advice is demonic energy.
Mm-hmm.
Just like fear is demonic energy. Anything that limits our ability to open ourselves and participate in from our alignment, anything that disrupts that could be considered demonic. And anything that supports that could be considered love. And so it kind of reorganizes our perception about what we are engaging in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because when alignment becomes our priority, when being available to the most refined energy available to a human being, when cultivating that becomes our, well, the reason we get up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
then our whole life changes and our priorities become reorganized and we stop punishing ourselves.
This voice was so supportive and so gentle. It wasn't like it was just it wasn't like it was coming from good or bad. It was just like a beautiful statement that was made to me. And my whole opinion about how I feel this morning, which isn't very great, has shifted. I was like, oh, that's right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, evolution is about learning about ourselves.
Seems like it's part of this whole deal.
Well, it can be, you know, it's sad but true that most of the experiences that really motivate us to change are painful
Mhm.
until we understand that that pain is leading us to evolution.
Yeah.
And it's not the pain of punishment, it's the pain of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And then, everything becomes full of magic and mystery and miracle as we begin to open to our own potential.
Yeah.
And connect with that and have that being our motivation for participation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all unique manifestations of this divine love, every single one of us. And so we each have a different role to play. And discovering that role and playing it is what our life is, the divine play of consciousness.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome. We hope this makes sense. Please, please ask about anything that doesn't make any sense.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful meditation. I was a little surprised that when I got in touch with my high heart, there was quite a bit of emotion there. And it's still releasing. So thank you for that, because that's a center that I have not been aware of. And also, I'd like to report that going to the Anasa temple has become for me almost like a magic wand. It just seems like I go to the temple and I ask for something and I receive it almost immediately. It's just it's so fabulous. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, for those of you who haven't heard about the Inasa Temple, first of all, I'm a channel for Inasa, which is a soul group in the 12th dimension. And we are an energetic field of information that becomes available to you whenever and whatever your circumstance. By the way we encourage people to use the Inasa temple is that whatever situation you're in, and very often it's situations that involve other people that we have attempted to shift energy with and failed in this dimension. And so the relationships have become uh, energetically dense, is what we'll say. And when that happens, one of the ways to use the Inasa temple is to really think and feel in ourselves to come up with a 3 sentence or less statement to make to that other person, to their highest self, about the shift we would like to make in our relationship with them. And we take the time and energy to cultivate that statement in the highest possible way that we can, so that we are really being attentive to the fact that we're making a statement from our highest self to their highest self to create energetic movement and possibility in our relationship. So then we go to an Anasa temple, and there are many guided meditations on our website to experience that journey. And when we get there, we invite the other person to sit across from us in the Anasa temple, which is a completely safe, energetic space. We deliver our message. We allow that person to go. And then we come back from the Anasa temple and we completely let go of any expectation as much as we are capable of. And we allow that energy to permeate the relationship. And we wait. There is no further attempt to make a change in the physical plane, but we allow the energetic system to change. And we keep our hands off it. And we may go to the Anasa temple over and over again with that same intention. Now, that's how we use it in relationship. In terms of abundance, the secret to abundance is that most people concentrate on what they don't have and their fear of losing what they do have. And the truth is that we are constantly given what we are concentrating on. So if we are concentrating on what we don't have or on our fear of losing, then we are actually asking for what we don't have. And we continue in this loop of not having. Whereas if we understand that, release our fear of loss, which is the hard part, releasing our fear. And actually focus on what it is we want and visualize in the highest possible manifestation of that, what we want. We might just magnetize that to ourselves. Because in putting our attention on what it is that we are really trying to become, and also holding the understanding that in order for spirituality to really evolve through us, we need a peaceful environment with enough material flow that we're not in fear. or extreme poverty. That doesn't mean that these things won't happen to us, because there are forces in play that we have no control over. Lots of them. But fear changes nothing. It just limits us. But things happen in the inner world before they manifest in the outer world. And if we are in abundance internally, our experience is abundance. And what our experience is what attracts more of what we're experiencing. We hope this makes sense. We're here because we want to help. And we want to guide you to the highest possible experience available for human beings. And that experience is union with divinity. And it's available to everyone. You may notice that the animals in the environment are never separate from that. The reason we have pets is because we experience that union that they have naturally. They don't know a life that's not in union. It's their programming. And it's our confusion between our ears that guides us away from that experience, because we get very complicated about our external experience. And then we go back and forth in this limited arena between our ears and often don't allow ourselves to experience the deeper energetic union that is available to us at all times. It's not that we have been thrown out of heaven. It's that we choose to put our attention outside of ourselves rather than on the kingdom of heaven that exists within us. That language is very Christian, but it does say what's available. And every religion comes in as a guide to the true potential for humanity. And then every religion throughout time has been corrupted and used to control people. by just inserting a few false words here and there. It becomes controlling and generally about punishing and staying in line and following commandments rather than discovering who and what we really are and how to live from our own autonomous connection to divinity so that we experience the vitality that will show us our purpose in being here. And each one of us, of course, has something very different because we are unique in our manifestation. So the idea that we have to compete for anything is false. It's not about competition, it's about interdependence. We live in an interdependent multiverse. But keeping it to an interdependent universe is more than our brain can comprehend and enough to take in this moment. But our recognition of our interdependence in the total environment gives us the awareness of how to participate. Because in recognizing that interdependence, we immediately become aware of the imbalances in our immediate environment and our global environment and everything in between. Our failure to acknowledge our interdependence with the earth has created such an imbalance that our own future is in grave danger, the future of humanity. At the same time, every generation intends to do better than the generation preceding it. And generally that happens. We may notice that our children, given the opportunity to flourish, are smarter than we are, and that they have a bigger understanding at a younger age than we did. This is evolution. Understanding in ourselves that punishment doesn't save us. It just limits us. That punishment is shooting ourselves in the foot. And generally, it comes from the belief that if we don't chastise ourselves for bad behavior, then our life will become nothing but bad behavior. It's this lack of faith in our own capacity rather than questioning the value of the punishment itself. We go in this endless loop of self-judgment, and our vision of our world gets tighter and tighter and tighter, because we can't live up to our own demands of ourselves. And the reason for that is that those demands are not based in truth. And they are an intentional loop that were sent in by the powers around us to keep us confused so that we don't become empowered in ourselves to be whole. People who are not afraid are uncontrollable because they live from a deeper truth in themselves. And as we said at the beginning of the program, we recognize truth because it is a visceral experience. We feel it in our body, that the truth of our alignment is way more powerful than any kind of self-punishment, which just is an endless loop. And it has to do with the fact that the expectations we're trying to fill in ourselves have nothing to do with anything real. It's only when our expectations and our demands have to do with this inner understanding and union with our own potential that we begin to experience some kind of breakthrough in ourselves that frees us from these endless loops of self-judgment. But the way to gain power over people is to get them in these endless mental monkey loops that don't allow us to inhabit our real potential as human beings. Forcing us to have our mind between our ears is the biggest limitation that has ever happened to humanity. Allowing ourselves to inhabit our totality, as we did in this meditation, is the first step to reclaiming ourselves as complete humans. Does this make sense? We welcome your feedback.
That was beautiful.
Hmm.
And that makes me want to play like a child in the playground.
Exactly. It is curiosity that really, really is how we end up embracing our life when we are free. Like children experiencing the world around them,
Yeah.
we experience our inner world. And the curiosity of what's this button do?
And then oops. No.
Yes.
No, that's beautiful, really. I'm grateful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So are we. Mm. And gratitude is just so natural as we come into alignment. Gratitude for the experience of alignment. Because when we know who and what we are, we're at peace. And we can experience from that peace, we can experience each of the energy centers and what they actually do within us. And the freedom to embrace our own potential and the understanding that comes from living in peace is unbelievable. It literally can't be told. It is a visceral experience. And the truth of it is, no matter where you are today, there is always more. There is always more. So it doesn't get less as we embrace our true potential. But our real message is that the energy that powers the multiverse is here and available to each of us. It is our choice to put our attention elsewhere that denies us the quality of life that's waiting. It requires our attention and our commitment to cultivating this awareness. Because somewhere our ancestors got confused about where our real potential lies. It doesn't lie outside of us, and it doesn't lie just between our ears. It is encompassing every part of what it is to be human in connection with divinity. And divinity is the energy that powers our life. It powers all of life. And it is both personal and universal at the same time. We have never been separate from it. It's impossible for us to be alive and separate from it. It powers everything. And as we allow ourselves to come into that power, we become empowered from the inside out. It is a choice we make freely. It has nothing to do with what's outside of us. Anyone who is truly in union shares it for the sake of sharing it, not for power over. So, in our last few minutes, we welcome any questions. And if not, we'll move into meditation. So, this second meditation, we want to encourage you to feel into the flow in whatever way that happens for you in this moment, and allow you to be with all of us and the energy coming through to support your own practice. We have completely enjoyed being with you today. And we're going nowhere. We're just expanding to make ourselves more available to you. I want to thank you all for coming today. It's beyond words how beautiful it is to be with you. We're so grateful to share this experience. And we're grateful that you decided to take the time to be here to share it with us. So much love to you. Bye for now.